Hello, everyone. Happy August, and welcome back to another Planetarium show. My name is Jessica. I'm the director of the Planetarium, and it is just tonight. Since it is the first Wednesday of a new month, we are going to be doing our monthly What's Up show, taking a look at the astronomical events for the month of August. If you have any questions or anything throughout the show, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Now, I am by myself tonight, so I may be a little bit slower to see questions and things, but I promise I will get to them even if I am not able to get to everything right away. So with that, let me get our show going. Awesome. Okay. So for our What's Up, we are going to start with what the moon is doing. Ending July, we had a new moon, so the first phase of August is going to happen in just a couple days. On the 5th, we're going to have the first quarter. Then about a week later, on the 11th, we're going to have a full moon, which for August is often known as either the green corn moon, the sturgeon moon, or the wild rice moon. It's also a supermoon, which I'll get back to in just a second. Third quarter will happen on August 18th, and then we'll end the month on the 27th with another new moon. So there are your phases. You can also see when the moon is going to rise and set, because it is up at different times of the day, depending on the phase it's in, because that determines where it is in its orbit around the Earth. So let's talk about the supermoon thing. The moon's orbit around the Earth isn't a perfect circle. It's slightly elliptical. And so that means certain times of the month, the moon is a little bit closer to the Earth, and at other times it's a little bit further away. So when a full moon happens, when the moon is at its closest to the Earth, that is what we call a supermoon. And then when it happens when it's the furthest, that's a micromoon. Now, supermoon tends to bring up some wrong visuals. You can see here just how much bigger a supermoon is than average and how much smaller a micromoon is. It's something that can be really difficult to tell if you don't know kind of that you're looking for it. But there you go, it is happening. It is our fourth supermoon of the year and the last supermoon of the year, just because from here on out, the full moons are not going to happen when the moon is near its closest approach to the Earth. All right, moving on to what the planets are doing. It's a little simple this month. Hanging out still in the morning sky is Venus. You can see it sitting there in the eastern sky just before sunrise. It is staying kind of low in the sky, and as we go through the month and it gets closer and closer to the sun, it's going to be rising later and later, kind of closer and closer to sunrise, and get lower and lower in the horizon. But it's still going to be hanging out there. Everything else, though, is going to be in our evening or nighttime sky. So starting off, we have Mercury hanging out in the west just after sunset. The best time to try and see it is going to be actually towards the end of the month on the 27th. That is when Mercury will be at what's called the greatest elongation. That just means it's the furthest it gets away from the sun, which makes it easier for us to see it. However, for this time of year, you can see its orbit is kind of at a low angle with our horizon, so it doesn't actually get too terribly high above the horizon. So it is still going to be a little bit difficult to try and see, but if you want, it'll be there all month hanging out in the west just after sunset. And then once it gets dark, we have lots of planets out. Saturn is going to be out not too long after sunset, and will be really easy to see once the night gets dark. And then just before midnight, we'll also have Jupiter coming out and Mars as well. In between those, we also have Uranus and Neptune, which you can try and see with a telescope. You cannot see those with the naked eye. Saturn is actually going to reach what we call opposition on the 14th. So this happens, opposition is basically when we are the closest to a planet that's further out from the sun than we are. So it's opposite the sun in our sky. And so that means for this year, this is going to be the best time to see Saturn. That's when it's going to be the biggest and brightest. So if you are interested in going out and seeing it, especially if you have even just a small telescope, you can get a good glimpse at those rings. Around the 14th is going to be the best time, but all month is going to be great views of Saturn. And Jupiter and Mars as well. They will be rising a little bit earlier, a few minutes earlier each night. So right now, at the beginning of the month, they're rising around midnight, but the further we get into the month, the sooner they'll rise. And so we'll have some decent views of even Jupiter not long after sunset once we get towards the end of the month. Let's see, what else do I have in my notes here? And then Uranus on August 24th is going to start its retrograde loop. So what that means is usually planets kind of move eastward across the background of stars. But every so often, the planet will kind of reverse direction and move back the other way for a little while before reversing again and moving back forward the normal way. While it's moving backwards or the opposite way of normal, that's what we call retrograde motion. So Uranus is going to start its retrograde motion on August 24th, and it will continue until January 23rd. And this happens because we are literally catching up and passing the planets. Planets closer to the sun move a lot faster, and planets further from the sun move slower. So every so often, about once-ish a year, depending on which planet you're talking about, we will catch up and pass that planet, and while we're in the middle of passing it, that's when it goes through this retrograde motion. So it's not actually moving backwards, it's just how we perceive it because we're in the midst of passing this slower moving planet. It's the same idea as when you like pass a car on the highway. While you're passing it, it kind of looks like the car is going backwards, even though you're both going forwards. It's the same idea here. Can you show us Saturn in opposition and where, for example, the large moon Titan is relative to Saturn? Any idea when the rings go edge on? Okay, so I can pull up Stellarium because I have just screenshots right now. I will pull up Stellarium and zoom in on that, and I can show you how you do that. The rings will be edge on in a couple years. I think it's 2025. So over the next few years, the tilt of those rings is going to go more and more edge on. But let me get through the rest of this, or actually, you know what? Why not? Let's go ahead and find Saturn here. So if you didn't know, the program that we use for a lot of these live streams is this program, Stellarium. It's really nice and easy to use. It's basically a free planetarium software. You give it your date, time, and location, and it shows you what the sky looks like. So here we are on August 14th, which is opposition for Saturn. So we can zoom on in. Oops, let me pause time. And you can see kind of where its moons would be. So if you were looking at it through a telescope, you might see a few of these moons around Saturn. So it's really cool. You can use this program to get a sense of like that sort of thing, what it's going to look like. So this is what Saturn would look like if you looked at it at this date and time, which is pretty cool. So yeah. All right. Let's bring our show back up here. So that's the planets. Next up, we have a very prominent meteor shower happening in August. If you didn't know, will Stellarium report a magnitude for Saturn when the rings are edge on different than when the rings are face on? I am not sure. Let's test it. So I can click on Saturn. It will give me a magnitude. So let's first let me find it. Kind of? Yeah, looks like it. You can see the magnitude right there. So, yeah, looks like it is reporting that. Oops, went too far. So, that's pretty cool. I didn't know it did that. Well, I mean, I knew it reported magnitude, but I didn't think to look at. So basically, what's happening here, magnitude is how bright an object is in the sky. What he was asking was if you see that change in brightness, because when Saturn is tilted so that its rings are towards us, we're getting extra light that's bouncing off of the rings, making Saturn appear brighter. And so what we're seeing here is the difference in that there is a slight difference even in just the reported magnitude when Saturn goes edge on, because we are actually receiving less light because we're not seeing light bounce off the rings. So yeah, there you go. It does do that. Okay, back to meteor showers. So meteor showers happen when the Earth passes through debris trails left behind by comets. Basically, as comets pass the sun and the ices vaporize, it leaves behind a trail of dust. And when we pass through that dust trail and that dust moves through our atmosphere, it gets heated up and glows. And that's what we get as the kind of meteors. And of course, since we're passing through a dust trail, there's lots of stuff falling through our atmosphere. We get a lot of meteors, and that's what we call a meteor shower. So, the Perseids are happening in August. It is one of the best meteor showers of the year. This year, the Perseids are running from July 17th to August 26th, but there's not a whole lot outside of the peak date, which for this year is happening the night of August 12th into the morning of August 13th. So they will be visible all night long. You can see here that meteors are going to look like they're coming from the constellation Perseus, which is going to be in kind of the northeast. And the Perseids are, like I said, a really, really great meteor shower. At times during peak, there have been upwards of 100 meteors per hour reported. But before you get too excited, we are actually going to have a nearly full moon out for most of the night. That's going to drown out some of the dimmer meteors that might be in the sky. So we might not see quite as many, but the Perseid is known for some very bright, long-lasting meteors. So I still think we're going to have a pretty good show. All right. Let's see. Next, we'll take a look at what the International Space Station is doing, because you can see it from different locations on the Earth, depending on exactly where the ISS is orbiting at that time. Here in Duluth, we did just have a whole bunch of ISS passovers for last month. So for August, we're really not getting any until the end of the month. Now, if you're interested in finding out if the International Space Station will fly over where you're at, you can go to this website, heavens-above.com, put in your location, click ISS, and it will give you this type of information, where it'll tell you the date and time that the ISS is passing over your location. Now, if you want a little bit more information, let's say you find one that you really want to see. So I think I grabbed August 30th. If you click on the dates, it'll then take you to another page where it shows you the path that it will take across the sky and give you more timings as well. So there you go. Great tool to try and see the space station passing over. All right, well, with that, let's head into what the Planetarium is going to be doing for this month. On Friday and Saturday, we have our in-person shows. Friday is going to be Exhibition Moons, and Saturday we are starting a new set of shows for the month of August. So our family show at 2 p.m. is going to be Cosmic Colors, an adventure along the spectrum, and our general public show at 7 p.m. on Saturdays is going to be Black Holes, the Other Side of Infinity, which is narrated by Liam Neeson. We are not going to have a normal Wednesday stream next week, because next week is our Dark Sky Caravan, which I'll get back to in just a second. First, I wanted to kind of show you a quick trailer on the two shows for Saturday. So first up is our family show, Cosmic Colors.
The sun's light and the sky mix together, and it's like a rainbow prism thing. Mars is red because of the iron in the rocks. The rocks get rusty. Trees, plants, grass, it's because of the chlorophyll. The color has to do with the atoms.
So it's a really fun show oriented towards middle schoolers, but kids both younger and older would still have a lot of fun with it. But it's taking a look at light, the different types of light, and kind of how it's used in astronomy and what we can learn from it. Then our Saturday evening show is Black Holes, which is a favorite amongst planetarium guests.
Welcome to the dark side of the universe. On the hunt for the ultimate cosmic monsters. While scientists scan the heavens, advanced computer simulations reveal the strange power of the black hole. Venture beyond the point of no return. Nature's ultimate no man's land. Black holes, the other side of infinity.
So again, really great show, all about black holes, which I don't know what else to say. It's great. All right, so those are our Saturday shows. Now coming back to next week. Next week is our annual Dark Sky Caravan. This is the 4th year of the Dark Sky Caravan. It will be running Monday through Saturday next week. Monday, we'll be starting off here on Facebook Live with a kind of virtual kickoff. We're going to be joined by two special guests, Bob King, aka Astro Bob, and Emma Adams, who is one of the education specialists, I think is her title, I forget, up at the Chickawauk Museum and Nature Center, who the Planetarium has done a lot of great stuff with. So they'll be joining us Monday for that, to kind of look at the dark skies that we have here in Minnesota, why they're important, how we preserve them, and then Bob will tell us some of the cool things that we can see up in our dark skies. And then for the rest of the week, Tuesday through Saturday, we will be taking our telescopes and hosting star parties all along the North Shore. Tuesday we'll start here in Duluth outside of the Planetarium. Since we'll be at the Planetarium, we'll also be doing Planetarium shows throughout the star party as well. Then for the rest of the week, we are on the road. Wednesday, we'll be at Teddy Gooch State Park at the Visitor Center. On Thursday, we'll be at Split Rock Lighthouse. On Friday, we'll be in Grand Marais at the North House Folk School. And then we will end our night end our week Saturday at the Chickawauk Museum and Nature Center, which is at the end of the Gunflint Trail and near the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness, which is the largest international dark sky sanctuary in the world. So you have pristine dark skies, and it is a fabulous place to end off our dark sky caravan. So we really hope to see You guys, if you want to travel with us to locations all throughout the week or just come by for one of these star parties, it's going to be a great time. Like I said, we're going to have lots of telescopes out. We'll be doing live sky tours. If the weather is not super ideal for telescope viewing, we'll also have activities and other things to do as well. So it's going to be great fun. So we hope to see you out there. All right, and with that, I do believe we're at the end of my show. So I will stay a couple more minutes to see if there are any last questions. Yeah, this part's always difficult when it's just me. It's hard to banter by myself. But lots of cool things, and some of the things that we talked about, so the moon will be up while we're out. So moon is always a great target for our telescopes. We're also going to be out during the Perseids, during that peak time. That's actually, the caravan is timed specifically so that we're out during the peak of the Perseids. So we'll be watching for those. We'll be looking at Saturn. We'll be looking at Jupiter if we can get it in time. There are some other really cool kind of deep space objects that we can look at, especially once we're up at Chickwalk in those really dark skies. We'll be able to see lots of cool things. So, just checking the comments here. I think I'm not seeing anything new, so I think I will wrap it up there. Thanks everyone so much for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, not our regular programming next week because of the caravan. We will have a show on Facebook Live on Monday, and then the rest of the week will be in-person events for the Dark Sky Caravan. You can find more information on the caravan if you're interested, both on our Facebook page and over on our website. All right. With that, I guess I will wrap it up. Thanks again, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and hopefully we'll see some of you at our star parties. So, bye, everyone.